right, here we are. QR code back again. And we're back after the week number 17 game against the Detroit Lions, which was a little disappointing. I'm Razor.
I'm Q.
And I'm Adam.
Okay, and
Ah,
once again, the three of us are back to discuss our impressions of what we saw on Monday night, or Sunday night. I'm sorry, what we waited all day for Sunday night to witness. Some of us had to stay up very late. As you Vikings fans know, we can never do anything the easy way, so this is par for the course. We're going to go around and start off with our reactions to that game. And we're going to kick it off with you, Q.
all right. So, Razor, we talked about this 2 days after the game. All we could say is it was a bad day at the office. It was a bad time to have a bad day at the office, but that's all it was. I'm still just happier than a stuck pig because, well, nobody expected more. So while we're still playing with house money, I'm like, hey, let's see if we can get this bad boy any further than it's going. But for crying out loud, man, we're playing with house money. Whatever we do, it's all good. The clock starts. The clock starts March of 25, March of this year, and that's when we're going to get to putting the rest of the pieces together to make a real Super Bowl run. Don't get me wrong. It could well happen, but that that loss at Detroit, and then knowing now that any game we play now, unless there's some wild card upsets this week, hey, we're going to be playing on the road, so that may come to a screeching halt at some time. So, I'm not even worried. I'm not even worried about it. But we saw that defense still had some grit. They played extraordinarily well until they start getting gassed in the fourth quarter,
Uh,
and then two touchdowns, and it's like over. But the Rams game is going to be a different thing, and I know we're going to get in that in a little bit. But I'm not even phased by how badly that game went down this past Sunday night.
Okay, that's understandable. And Adam, your impressions?
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with what Maki was saying, but talking about playing with house money, why settle? Why settle? We are knocking on the door, and yeah, it was tremendously disappointing. It, for me, it was more disappointing because it was like we just couldn't get out of our own way. It wasn't, we're there 4 minutes left in the third quarter, and it's a 1 point game. It's all right there. It's just right there for the taking. And even if we had put together, a couple of scores and four trips to the red zone, not every time, even a couple, it was just so tantalizingly there for the taking. And we just couldn't close it out and couldn't right the ship, couldn't get out of our own way, and just so many self-inflicted needless errors. I think you know I was talking with my kids about it, and the one downside that I've always feared about having that number one seed is that when a team is playing 9, 10 straight weeks since it's bye and has that week in week in out routine. I think the biggest downside of sitting for 2 weeks, and it's just got to, no matter what they say, it's just got to take you out of your routine. And a lot of teams come out flat and just lay an egg, even as a top one, top seed. We've seen it over the years, and these shocking upsets because they just are not in their rhythm. And I think that's a big thing. I think that's contributing always, that extra media week before the Super Bowls contributes mightily towards less than stellar quality Super Bowls too. It's just got to take you out of your rhythm. But anyway, um, I'm sure we can get into this later, but one of my very biggest takeaways from that game is terrified about our kicking situation. We should definitely do a little bit of a deep dive into that because that is a big concern right now of mine. And I think that thank goodness the loss happened last week and not next week. I gotta think that there's a lot of positives to going on the road in a very loud, probably very similar to U.S. Bank, on par, very hostile, angry crowd, and you know, the biggest advantage Detroit has over us is they've been there already. You know, they've been deep runs, and these guys are battle tested much deeper into tournament play than we are. And hopefully, being in that environment last week and kind of just seeing what it's like for the first time for Sam and a lot of these guys, hopefully you just chalk it up to that in large part, and they just weren't ready for what they thought they were going to experience, and hopefully get it out of their system. And they come in and say, like, we got this, we can handle this, let's play our game. The last thing that I am also just so concerned about is they got to Sam so often during that game, and it didn't seem like we were able to make in-game adjustments along the way for anything. It was just constant. It never let up. It never was defended even marginally well. The whole game, he was under duress constantly. So I don't know if we were just out coached for the game. I don't know if we were just out strategized, but we got to be able to do a better job of having some backup plan if they're getting to our quarterback. And I don't know what it may entail, but we got to have something lined up to go to plan B. And whether it's dropping someone else back or not, not sending anyone out of the backfield, whatever it is, we got to be more prepared, because if we had protected Sam in that game, it's a whole different situation. That was the whole key. That was the whole key at the end of the day, was they just got to him so fast, and just kind of unraveled. And I don't blame him per se. I mean, he was just had no time. So yeah, so it was definitely a bad day at the office, and hopefully we get it out of our system, and hopefully we can come out and say, okay, these are the Vikings we expected on Monday night.
And but you both raise some good points. What I'll just add to that was I felt the same way that he had a bad day. Sam was off from the very first drive. He was overthrowing Jefferson. He was overthrowing wide open receivers. Kevin O'Connell had schemed these guys open. There were a few times Jordan Addison was wide open. The fact that the Lions play Lions defense, they're high risk, high reward, and they got all of the rewards in that game. They didn't suffer any major penalties or any major problems facing our offense. Um, I think it's a testament, or it's evidence that Sam Darnold was way off. That he was like overthrowing and missing passes by the fact that he didn't throw any interceptions that game. Even the Lions defenders couldn't catch the passes he was throwing. They weren't anywhere near anybody. They literally he wasn't throwing anything where any human being on those fields could have caught the passes. So I mean he was nervous, and in his defense, and not he doesn't need me to defend him, but the Lions did a good enough job of that. But he in Sam's defense, this is the biggest game he has probably played in his life since college.
Yep.
Sam Darnold never been, obviously, in a playoff environment, and that was a playoff environment, like it or not. If anybody wants to say it wasn't,
Big time.
we can discuss that later. But he's never been in a situation like this. This is his first time. This is his first time, and as his first time, he'll get a chance on Monday to shake that off. He does have a tendency to show that he has a short memory, which is a good thing. Um,
He can show that in game too.
yeah,
That's one of the things I
yes,
really
oh,
like about him. You throw
definitely.
an interception and then come back and rip 8, 9 in a row after
Mhm.
that.
Mhm. And speaking of ripping things off in a row, another thing, math is my thing. I love numbers. I love math. One of the things about this loss that makes me feel a lot better about our chances going forward than I would have had we won this game is winning that game on Sunday night would have meant, and if you want to win the Super Bowl, which I still don't believe we will, but if you want to win the Super Bowl, you have to do it with a 13 game winning streak. 13 game winning streaks are damn near impossible, especially when the last four or last three are postseason against playoff competition. The Vikings now have to win 4 games. They have to go on a 4 game winning streak, and unless my math is off, we have won 4 games in a row 9 times already this season. This in the 2024 season. We've been on 9 4 game winning streaks. So the fact that they've already proven that they can win 4 games in a row, including going on the road and doing it, because we were 6-2 on the road this year. We've only lost 2 games, but only 2 teams have beaten us, the Lions and the Rams. We're going to get a chance, more than likely, to face both those teams again. If we beat the Rams on Monday night, there's a strong possibility we will face the Lions for the third time. That to me, I believe I would rather face a team who's beaten us twice. I'd rather face them the third time than to face a team that we haven't seen, like Philadelphia. I would rather go against the
Agreed.
Lions again, even in Detroit.
Yeah,
Even in Detroit. That's just
Oh,
that's just where I stand on that. But again,
I agree.
getting back to the original thing with the house money theory, yes, you say why not go for it? Of course, I'd love to see the Vikings go for it. But at the beginning of the season, and it's been recorded, at the beginning of the season, Vegas gave us 6.5 wins. I predicted that we would win 8. Q predicted that we would win 12. But in all fairness, Q predicted last year we would win 12. So, but
oh no!
Eventually, you got to be right.
Don't
I'm just
try
saying.
taking my credibility
No, no,
from me
no, no,
now.
no, I'm not. But like I did go back and check. That was the prediction last year.
Okay.
But that being said, the fact that this team has managed to win 14 games with a bridge quarterback means that yes, we do have an opportunity to to do much better than anybody anticipated. But I don't think at this point anything that happens from this point on does not make this season anything less than a great season. That's just my opinion. I know there'll be disappointment. I will not feel happy on Tuesday morning if we don't win on Monday night. But I've seen 15-1. I've seen the Brett Favre. I've seen the Blair
Blair
Walsh. I've seen
Walsh.
them all. I've seen them all. I've seen 62 years of this team, I've seen 61 years of this team, and there's nothing that's going to happen on Monday night that I'm going to say, "Wow, I can't imagine that happened. I can't imagine that happened." So
So we've seen it all the doinks and all the
everything that can go wrong.
missed field goals from the kicker that hasn't missed anything in 3 years, and we've seen it all.
Mhm. Now, which dovetails into the next topic, and Adam, you mentioned it, the kicking situation. The kicking situation had to happen. Will Reichert, I don't believe for 1 minute that Will Reichert is healthy. I don't believe he's 100%. I think he's struggling to get back to 100% because he probably rushed back. He saw that Parker Romo, or John Parker Romo, as I will always call him, was doing well. He rushed back to get back on the field to help his team. Admirable. This kid only knows kicking. He's not a soccer player. He went to kicking camp when he was a kid. He's a kicker. He wants to be there to help his team. I understand that. That being said, Kevin O'Connell's got to be the dad and say, "Hey, son, I understand this is what you and Will Reichert and JJ McCarthy are probably the only 2 people on this team young enough to be Kevin Kevin O'Connell's son." But
Yeah,
you have to say, "Look, son, I'm sorry. I know you want to play, but hey, as your dad, I'm going to say the best thing for you is to rest. There's going to be other seasons. We drafted you. We're going to keep you. Your job's not in jeopardy, but we need you to get healthy more than we need you out there shanking kickoffs." Because, but
in a
no,
closed stadium in pristine condition.
exactly. And there was, I'm going to tell you exactly what I said when I saw that kick go out of bounds. Well, I'm not going to say exactly what I said first because this is a family show, but I am going to say what I said immediately after that was, well, that's got to be the most Viking thing I've ever seen. Because it was. There was no reason for him to kick that out of bounds. It was the most Viking thing that could have possibly have happened. The defense
Yeah,
played phenomenally. We kept them to what, 9 points for the first half. The defense played out of their minds.
we had 7 points to that
7 points.
point,
Yeah, yeah. And
seven to six.
but when things start going wrong and they snowball, you don't catch. Van Ginkel doesn't get that pick six. He always gets that pick six. Jefferson doesn't have the extra inch on his fingertips. He always has the extra inch on his fingertips. Hawkinson played like he was terrified that he would get his knees blown out again. I mean, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and that was the kind of day it was. But the kicking game, and Adam and we emailed about this earlier. I don't know if we're going into this game with Reichert as our kicker. I mean, John Parker Romo was on the Patriots practice squad and available. The Vikings could bring him back if they want. I don't know when that would have to be announced, but I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have to be announced yet. And I wouldn't give the Rams 1 minute more lead-in notice than I have to because they kind of forgot to tell us that Puka Nakua was 100% before we played him
Yeah,
last week.
right,
Yeah,
right.
When did we find that out? Like the night before?
yeah.
Even Brian Flores said he was unaware that Nakua was even going to be out there.
Hmm.
So, the kicking situation, uh, I'm gonna go bounce that back to you, Q. What do you think the answer is there?
The answer is C. No, I'm just kidding. No, no, it's kind of hard because the you figure as a head coach, your kicker knows your kicker knows himself, right? But then, as you were saying just a minute ago, man, pride will make people do all kind of stuff, man. Like, no, coach, I can go, and clearly by the was it two or three missed field goals, and then the kick out of bounds. There were two missed field goals and a kick out of bounds, and the 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 field goal that went in looked really, really shaky.
Never shake it. Yes,
So
exactly, exactly.
I love that. Yeah, right.
I thought he missed it at
So
Yeah.
my first blush. I thought he
It
missed it.
on TV, it did look like he missed it.
Yeah,
I saw the ref's arm go up, and I'm thinking, was the refs watching?
I had my arms up with an expletive half out of my
All
mouth.
right.
but as I'm watching that game, as I'm watching the game develop, and then I see O'Connell going for it on on fourth down and like not taking the points because yeah, I know we're older guys, right? We take the points, take the points. Now these kids are
That's what
saying
he
all
said.
kind of they're doing all kind of things now. So I
Do his
get it.
best Dan Campbell
I get it.
impression. I don't know where that came.
But now again, it's uh, clear. It's clear, crystal clear. I think for sure KOC was a little worried about his kicking game.
Those points weren't there to
Now
be
we
had.
know, and now everybody is concerned about the kicking game. So, hey, we'll just see how we'll just see what's going on. Um, John Parker Romo was just a great fill a great fill in, and like I said, the one guy has the contract and he was hurt. They're not going to waive him, but you miss a bunch of kicks like that. That's an easy way to get yourself waived.
Hmm.
But we know that kid's got plenty of leg.
Yeah.
He's perfect for the culture that they're starting to build. And we keep talking about it. We keep talking about it. We keep talking about it. But that culture is everything. And it's not, oh yeah, well, yeah, I know you are kicking and all, and you were pretty good and all, but we had another guy kick really good when you were out. So you either got to rush yourself back and then come back and miss a bunch of kicks, or man, just get yourself better. We'll see. We'll see in training camp.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Reichert, he's he's a rookie and he doesn't have the experience to not feel worried about his job. This is his big chance, and it there are older guys who think they make business decisions. Okay, I can't play for 2 or 3 weeks, but I'll be playing for 2 or 3 years. That's the way older guys think. Younger guys, it's like, oh my God, JV, I just made varsity. I don't want to get cut from the varsity. Dude, you've got your
Well,
job, you got your
I'd like to.
contract.
I'd like to probably interject one other thing too, because sometimes they're kickers and then they're kickers because Will Reichert, after all, comes from Alabama.
Mhm.
I mean, and that's where everybody kickers compete at Alabama, right?
Yeah, everybody does.
Everybody competes. That's an admirable thing. But the other part of that is, man, could we have been in a little different positioning had we had a kicker that can make a 40-yard field goal?
Well, yeah,
Again, there was enough blame for everything, so I'm not going to get all into that. But it would have sure made things better if we knew that our kicker could have kicked a 41-yard field goal.
absolutely.
I mean,
So, Adam, the kicking, you brought up the kicking. You were one that,
Yeah.
so what do
So I'm terrified, and no sugarcoating that.
you, right?
And multiply that exponentially because of our plagued kicking history on top of that. But here, let me draw an illustrative analogy here just for perspective.
Mhm.
I told this to Makiu the other day. Um, you see a kicker like Justin Tucker, arguably the best kicker in history, who
Wow.
has struggled this year, who has struggled this year unexpectedly, had a midseason slump, inexplicable. This guy has earned the right, for sure, to kick himself, no pun intended, kick himself out of the slump, which he
Mm-hmm.
did, which he
Yes.
did. And I
Yes.
don't think there's a Ravens fan out there who is absolutely not worried at all that if the game is on the line, he's going to deliver in the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
But there's not a Vikings fan alive right now who can say that come Monday night or beyond, if we do get beyond, that game on the line or send the game into overtime, win it, last, whatever it is, you have absolutely no confidence that a disaster is not about to happen, like Blair Walsh or worse. And it's that, and to me, it's not subjective either. This since this guy's come back, he's been a diametrically opposed version of what he was before the injury,
Mm-hmm.
and it's empirical evidence. His kicks are his kicks, and it's been a disaster. I mean, one after another, doinking a 40-yard field goal off the upright at home, kicking the ball out of bounds, shanking. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
He's hurt.
my
He's definitely
gosh.
hurt.
And it's a disservice to the team because he's made this about him and not the team. To what you said, Razor, as well. Like, he needs to have someone like a father figure sit him down and say, you know what? This is not about you. We're all in this for us. This is the most us locker room we've ever had around here. And it's a total disservice to the team for Kevin, management, everyone to allow this guy to go into the playoffs as our kicker, given what's happened in the last few weeks. It's like playing Russian roulette with something you've worked so hard to build and so successfully this year to see it all unravel because you have a guy who's just not 100%. And the evidence is there. It's not like a subjective thing. It's objective, and it's so sad and so terrifying to me that we're going to be victimized along the way. And what if? Oh, what if he had only been able to make that 50-yard field goal to win or tie the game? And who would I've rather seen out there? Just about anyone.
Mm.
So, yeah, I just can't believe. In a macro sense, on the one hand, like I can't even believe that the Minnesota Vikings have a kicking problem going into the playoffs. But then again, of course we did.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
it's
That's not, this
it's the
is completely
Vikings way.
it's completely unheard of. I can't imagine it. Well, I'm gonna close this topic by
Yeah.
saying that as far as that goes, yes, I agree with your points, but Kevin O'Connell is the voice in the room. If he says we're going to go out there and let Will kick, then it's not like he can snatch Trent Sherfield and say, "Hey Trent, you go out there and kick." We have one kicker. I'm sure he's watching what we're watching, and he has a plan. I've never seen a Vikings coach with a plan with plans the way this coach and GM have planned. The way they just pull guys. I mean, out
I
of
hope
thin
so.
air, and it's like, hey, you step in here.
I hope so.
So the kicking game, either they'll figure out a way to work around it, or they'll find somebody who can make the kicks. But yes,
I
he
hope so.
is hurt, and I think in Will Reicher's defense, I would rather see, not as a Vikings fan, but as a football fan, I would rather see Will Rickard fight to get out there, not 100% and kick and have the coach sit him down than to see, I don't know, an Anthony Richardson where he says, I sorry, coach, I can't, I don't have it today. If you don't have it today, take the uniform off. Take the uniform off and go home. I don't want to see you standing on the sidelines if you don't have it today because there are 52 other guys out there who are playing football. Okay, he wanted the line say, "You have one job." Okay, you have one job. You
Yeah.
get out there, and if you can't make it, again, his job is secure. So if we find somebody who can make the kick, can make the kicks this week, next week, so be it. But I'm sure that Kevin O'Connell, like the three of us, saw it all and knows that they've got to do something about that because we
One
can't
one one
continue.
thing's clear: either he will or he won't.
Exactly. Exactly.
Unintended.
Exactly. 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 Exactly.
Pretty
So,
clear.
so, and Kevin O'Connell, while he's not, and I love it when I hear these stats and people say, "Oh, well, it's like the Vikings have lost 14 times on the road to West Coast teams." Yeah, but those guys who played on that team, some of those guys are dead. Okay, it doesn't matter what happened back
Yeah,
then. But
yeah,
and Kevin O'Connell wasn't here when Anderson missed that kick. He wasn't here when Blair Walsh missed that kick. It's the Vikings fans, it's us. We have the PTSD. Kevin O'Connell doesn't.
that's
He
right.
hasn't lived through
Right,
that.
right.
There's nothing in Kevin O'Connell's head to say, well, I know we usually miss these kicks. There's not that doesn't exist for him. Kevin O'Connell has 3 seasons with the Minnesota Vikings. One was a 13-win season. Everybody said, wow, that's incredible. Oh my God, I can't believe it. You never do that again. And then he turned around and got a 14-win season after a season where he lost his starting quarterback. So when he's had his starting quarterback for a full year, he's won 27 games.
Yeah,
Again, I'm gonna ride with this guy until he tells me that he doesn't know what he's doing. Um, so now off of the kicking note, because again, like I said, you can't be a Viking fan this long and not wonder what it is that will go wrong. I mean, it. I
yeah,
I was in Tampa Bay during our 15-1 season and saw that phantom offensive pass interference called on Chris Carter that cost us the game. It's like,
yeah.
what? An offensive pass interference on one of the best receivers in the game, phantom that nobody else saw. I saw that game this year, the Rams game that we all saw, when somehow Sam Darnold turned into the exorcist. It's like Linda Blair, and his head spun around, but nope, no flag. We saw it. I
Yep.
I
Amazing.
mistakenly didn't see the safety in the Lions game on Sunday night because I was sure that if you forced a pass to nobody in the end zone, the refs are going to put up their hands safety, but they forgot to do that. And they said, "Oh, there was a receiver in the vicinity." Even the announcers said, "He clearly wasn't throwing to anybody in particular." There was well, there was a receiver in the area. Yeah, because he was on the field. But if you're a Viking fan, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. We have to try to drill past the PTSD, and when we do lose, and I don't care if it's this Monday night, if it's in the Super Bowl, or if it's opening day of next season, the next time we lose a game, there's going to be 80% of the Viking fans are going to say, "I knew it. I knew it wouldn't last. I knew it wouldn't last. I knew, I knew we
By
just
the way, on the non-state, not to mention that we're the poster child now for the no review of the only scoring play that's not a scoring play according to the NFL, which is a safety. How bizarre is that?
exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's true.
The
It's like
scoring play.
well, we're not going to replay that. Well, it's a scoring play. Yeah, but it
No,
wasn't a scoring
no,
play because it
yeah,
wasn't safety. Okay,
exactly.
okay. Let's go with that again.
Yeah,
This is who the Minnesota Vikings are. This is who
yeah,
we are, and
They're
we
those
we all
guys.
signed. Yeah, we all signed up for this. We all signed up for this. We could have been Chiefs fans. We could have been Niners fans back in the day. No, no, we signed up for this,
yeah.
and one day, hopefully, before we die, we will get to see it again. Next, move now, which brings us
Monday
to
night
Monday Night Football.
Dun, dun, dun,
in the desert, in the
dun.
desert, in the desert.
In the desert, as Adam pointed out before the show, you can you can mention that again, Adam. I'll give you the breaking news on this episode.
This just recently handed to me.
It's just
That apparently the Vikings Rams game has officially been moved Monday night to Glendale, Arizona, and because of the obviously the fire situation in LA, which is horrible. But it will be at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, 8 p.m. Monday night.
okay.
Yeah,
So in Glendale, Arizona, again, I have it on good authority. That area is riddled with Vikings fans. This may very well turn into a home game for us.
And the bike play on.
Yeah, if the NFL doesn't decide not to do a no fans thing, which I think would be crazy. I don't know if they've
Yeah.
decided they're going to sell tickets or at this point, would he give away tickets? I don't know. It's a quick turnaround. It's a Monday nighter.
Yeah.
Um, this is Thursday, so
I'm
you know.
sure they had to make a decision today because you got TV crews and you got massive logistical things, and
Oh,
I'm sure they had to
absolutely.
give themselves like a full long weekend to
Yeah.
get this
Mhm.
organized and moved.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. And like I said, as far as fans go, how do you tell fans? You know, want to mention as I did in the email today about the situation that happened, unfortunately, in New Orleans, where inconsequentially, but there was also a game, the Sugar Bowl, and there were fans who flew down there to see that game, and the game didn't take place. Now, it's not like I was going to watch it on TV Sunday, but it's going to be on Wednesday, so I'll watch it. If you take time out of your schedule, your vacation, you buy tickets, plane tickets, you pay for a hotel, and you go and the game is not played, the airline doesn't care that the game's not going to be played. They don't automatically say, well, you can fly back on Wednesday. The hotel doesn't say, we'll put you up for 2 nights free. Your plans are squashed. If if there were Vikings fans, and I know for a fact that there were, who were planning on going to Los Angeles for this game, they have tickets, they have flights, they have hotels, but they don't get that back. Well, the likelihood is they may be able to recoup some of it. But if you purchase game tickets, the NFL will refund you tickets. But what happens to people who still want to see the game? Like I said, there are Vikings fans in driving distance of where the game's going to be played. There are Rams fans. There got to be at least three or four, and who want to go see that game. So I don't know yet, and I guess we won't know until later what the situation is as far as tickets, as far as who'll be allowed in the stadium. But if there are fans, I think it's going to be mostly Vikings fans. And if there's nobody, I think that's going to be a huge advantage for the Vikings. What say
Yeah.
you guys?
Um, all of the above, just all of the above. Um, and again, the other thing that I got to say is now I'm going to put it out there. I got a coworker that's a diehard Ram fan. Okay, so he's not the typical person living out there in L.A. that's a Rams fan. LA fans are a little different. We talked about this at the top of the show. They're not, and it's not just Los Angeles though, because Miami fans are the same way too.
The Florida fans, yeah.
But
Big,
Jacksonville, the Jag fans, they're a little different because that's where Friday night high
do
school
well.
football, Saturday night, Florida State watching them play Saturday or University of Florida, yeah, yeah. So now, we got the Jaguars yet, but back to my point, the they're not rabid those Ram fans, and they're some of them are a little better than casual. So I totally agree because remember we took that road trip to Buffalo even,
Mhm.
and man, I'm looking over, I'm like, man, I've never seen so many Viking fans in my life, and they're way away from these people from South Dakota and
Mhm.
from northern South Dakota, from Montana, from Minnesota, and we took over that stadium in Buffalo, in Orchard Park rather, but I can easily see the Vikings making it a second home game. And, like I said, to quote the Temptations, and the Vikes play on.
Mm. Mm.
'Cause, yeah,
Well, well, truth be told, I'm going to say there are five, five five team stadiums I've been to where it wasn't at least 20% Vikings fans. Viking fans are everywhere. And like you said, in Buffalo, yes,
Yeah,
because
for
it's
sure.
it's a relatively short trip. But there's South Carolina, Florida, Virginia, California. The Viking fans are everywhere.
Jacksonville earlier this year, we were at the Jacksonville game, and it was easily 60% Vikings fans,
Yeah.
easily
Hmm.
close to two
really.
thirds. It was
Yeah.
extraordinary,
Hmm. I mean,
unbelievable.
as a New Yorker, I could tell you, growing up and going to the Jets and Giants games, it's going to
Yeah.
be about 20 to 30% Vikings fans, and at the end of the games, it's usually about 90% Vikings fans there. I mean, the Viking travel, and I get the same thing at the beginning of the games, either in jest or whatever, in New York or when I was in Tennessee, and I think it's, oh, what are you doing here? It's like, oh my God, go back to Minnesota, go back. Well, I'm not from Minnesota, and truth be told, when I started going to Minnesota to games, it was mostly Packer fans. This was back in the 80s. It was mostly
Yeah,
because the Vikings came
Packer
along in
State.
the 60s. If your dad was a football fan, there was no
Yeah,
Vikings, so he's a Packer. He's a Packer fan.
yeah.
So I was shocked when it was a place called Nick's Sports World, a
Uh-huh.
sporting goods store. And I was 24-year-old Razor walks in, he looks around, and it's wall to wall Vikings merchandise. I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. And I was like, oh my God,
I'm
I can't
home.
believe it. I'm home. I'm telling you, I tried to almost bought like half the store. Just like, and then I realized I had to buy another suitcase to get back on the flight to go. But it was just, I and everybody's like, "Oh, you must be a big Viking fan." Yes, isn't everybody? Well, no. Turn to the back,
So,
and the back of the store, nothing but Packer stuff. In the back of the store, nothing but Packer stuff. So, yeah.
Let me mention one thing about this game that I was thinking about. Definitely would like to hear your take on it, both of you. Um, this is a really, really big game for Kevin O'Connell. And the reason is because if we come out and lose this game, I personally feel that what's going to start happening right away is going to be the Dallas Cowboy coach, Mike's
Mike McCarthy.
Carney, his
Mhm.
it's going to be the comparison starting. That
Mhm.
he's winning like 13, 14, 15 games in the regular season, and there's a total flame out in the playoffs. And I hope to God that it does is a narrative that is not visited upon such a great guy. But I'm afraid that if we flame out really badly, I think it's almost inevitable that kind of narrative is going to start to creep into the discussion. That having nice regular season, all this good stuff, and then just boy, inexplicable, just totally not ready for prime time in the playoffs. What's going on?
I,
What do you
it,
guys think? Is that
I hope, yeah, I hope that doesn't happen. The only reason I don't think it
hope
will
not?
is because the cast of characters. I know that there's still a faction of football fans, Viking fans, some of them, very few, but football fans who believe that Kirk Cousins is a legitimate quarterback and he's a good quarterback, which he is a good quarterback, but he's not a championship quarterback. He's
Well,
not.
I don't mean just from Vikings fan. I mean just
Yeah.
in the football world, from
Yeah.
analysts
no,
and
no,
the
no.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
and that,
yeah.
fans.
that, and that, and
You know,
that, right, and
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So
yeah.
the people that believe that, the people, the rest of the world that doesn't believe that, will look at Kevin O'Connell and say, yeah, he won 13 games and didn't go anywhere, and 14 games and didn't go anywhere, but he did it with Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold. Imagine if he had. What makes him different from the Cowboys is the Cowboys have their franchise quarterback and they're losing.
Yeah,
We haven't gotten our franchise quarterback to take a snap under center yet. Yet.
yeah.
That has not happened. And Kevin O'Connell has won 27 games in 2 years.
That's
How many did we win last year? We won six or
seven. Wasn't it
seven,
7.
7 and 10?
seven.
Yeah,
So he's won let's see, 27 and 7 is 34. 34 regular season games with six quarterbacks, so five quarterbacks. And
yeah.
those quarterbacks were Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, let's see,
Nick
um
Mullen,
Nick Mullins,
Nick
Josh
Mullen, Josh
Dobbs,
Dobbs, yeah, and
uh, what's
and
his
the
name?
kid, yeah, the kid
No,
that we
the
drafted,
6'8".
Darren Hall,
Darren Hall.
No,
Yeah.
Jaron Hall,
Mm-hmm. Darren
no,
Hall.
no,
Those
the
are
other one, one other.
who got concussed his
mm.
second drive as a starting quarterback. Man,
Did
I
Yeah,
mean,
did we forget anybody in that list? Let's
yeah.
see. I
What's
don't,
his name? The guy's 6'8", 6'9". What's the backup? Wasn't he the first year with Kevin? The end of the year, or am I thinking the
oh,
last year with Zimmer?
it might have been last year's Zimmer because
Huge guy, 6'8".
Kirk
Uh,
didn't,
Not Brian. With a B. But
not Bradford.
no, no, no,
That
no,
was
no.
it.
The heck was his name? He just retired. Um.
hmm,
Anyway,
Heck,
you
I'm
look
trying
it
to,
up.
yeah, because I can't remember anybody else playing quarterback for Kevin O'Connell. And I know Kirk didn't like having a backup on the roster, so I don't know who would have gone in.
John Mannion.
John, yes, John
Yeah,
Mannion.
Mannion, Sean Mannion.
Yeah, man, yeah. Did Mannion play for
I thought there
O'Connell?
was
he,
1 year crossover with him, but maybe not.
Yeah,
no,
yeah, he
he
was he
played.
was there.
He
He was
He
there.
started our
definitely.
playoff game. Oh, not play.
Mannion?
He started against the Packers in that game, right? The end of the
Wow.
regular season, and we
Wow.
lost. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. I didn't remember Mannion
And
yeah.
playing.
He's
yet,
like 6'8". Yeah.
Mm,
and yet,
mm.
Adam, you still throwing one less NFL touchdown pass than Sean Mannion.
This is true.
Mhm. That's
This
right.
is true. I'm right
And
there. I'm right
Yeah,
and,
there.
close,
he, and
close, close. Do you still have eligibility?
Closing the gap all the time.
but if he's done, dude,
Yeah,
I mean, you're one behind Sean Mannion.
but he retired. You said he retired this year.
I thought he retired a year or so ago. I
Okay,
thought I
so
read
the
that.
so the clock has started on his Hall of Fame eligibility voting. So it's got okay. Well, yeah,
Right, right,
I'll be looking for that. Yeah,
right. The seniors committee is already taking that under advisement.
exactly.
All right,
But
winners. So who's got so
so now yeah now it's that time. It's time for us to decide to look into our crystal balls and come out with the the outcome of the Monday night game in Arizona.
Vikings 28-24? Notice I didn't throw any field goals in there.
Yeah.
It's going to be all touchdowns and four will be enough.
Well, then somebody's going to miss an extra point because if it's 28-24, how's the 24 going to happen? A safety, maybe a couple of safeties. I mean,
But no 20. Well, no,
12
it's a
safety,
I'm talking about
28-24.
12
field. I'm talking
Field goes
about
for
no field
us.
goals for the
Oh,
Vikings.
for us. Okay. Okay.
For us, yeah,
Okay.
no,
Okay. Okay.
whatever the Rams do, I don't even know who their kicker is. I'm not trying to be, hateful or nothing, but, but yeah, no, they could score three touchdowns and a field goal. I don't care, but 28-21's my pick, and
Is it
I say
28-21 or 28-24? Because you just changed.
28-24. I'm sorry,
Okay, okay, okay,
I
okay,
misspoke
good,
as I
good, okay,
was.
okay, yeah, because you know it's fluctuating on these numbers here. It's like, okay, so
Just shut
28-24, and I understand that.
28-24 Vikings.
Again, I don't bet sports, but I, I heard from somebody that we're favored in this game.
1.5
I
points.
do.
Oh,
Although,
Oh, okay.
although I don't know if that changes with the moving of the game, but we were favored by 1.5 in. We're now favored by two, actually.
okay, we're favored by two
Over
against a
under
team
47 and a half.
against one of the two teams that beat us this season,
Yeah.
and this game was supposed to be in their house, so that's a
We gained
telling.
a 0.5 point
Hmm,
by moving it to a neutral site.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, Adam, your prediction.
I'm going to go Vikings 34-24. And I'm going to make one other prediction that in this game, for the first time this year, the Vikings are actually going to pull out a bona fide trick play.
Ah,
I don't know
good
where,
old
when,
defense.
how, but I'm predicting that we're going to finally see a play they've been sitting on, and whether it's a hook and ladder or some kind of fake kick, maybe maybe they
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
fake field goal because they
Okay.
don't have confidence in it.
I
But
was, I was
but
trying, I was trying not to be that guy
right,
and say they're gonna pull a trick play.
but
They're gonna make a field goal.
I'm pretty
That'll be a trick.
I'm pretty I'm pretty right right. They're gonna right. It's going to be 17 non-scoring safeties to get to 34.
Exactly.
But I'm going to, but I'm going to 34-24 Vikings.
34,
They
24.
right the ship. Sam is going to have a very more characteristic day. He's going to have a lot of deep shots that are good, and I think we reverse course hopefully, and hope to God that by Monday night the Packers and the Commanders have both won their games in shocking fashion, and things are really looking good. We are
There
huge Packers
you
and
go.
Commanders fans, that's for sure.
There you go. So both of you guys think that the Rams are going to score 24. I'm going to go away from that. I'm going to say, and this is probably the wildest prediction I've made all year, so it'll probably be very wrong. I say that the Rams will score 31 points because I can't imagine stopping that offense. And I think that the Rams will suffer a 14-point loss because the Vikings will score 45. I say 45 points. Being that this is in a neutral site, Sean McVay is facing his worst nightmare. He's facing the guy that knows his playbook. So he caught him off guard the first time. I don't think he's going to catch him off guard. I think an angry Justin Jefferson is not a good thing to defend.
Uh,
I think that an angry TJ Hawkinson is not an easy thing to defend. I don't think that an angry Jordan Addison is an easy thing to defend. And I also feel we're going to pull a trick play. I think the trick play will be we will have a rushing touchdown from inside the red zone.
oh,
That would be a trick. That would be an absolute
dare
trick. I
dare to
think
dream.
that's right. I think we're going to have a rushing
Living on the
touchdown. Hmm.
living on the proverbial edge, Razor.
Exactly. Pun intended. I think we're going to have a rushing touchdown from inside the red zone. I think we're going to score 45 points at 24. I'm going to go even further out on the ledge. 24 of those will be in the first half. I think it's going to be a shootout. I don't think there's going to be a lot of defense played because the two high scoring teams. We have,
Write this down.
yeah, we have the daunting task of facing back-to-back Super Bowl playing quarterbacks. We faced
Potentially, yeah.
Jared Goff last week, and this week Matt Stafford. They both played Super Bowl for the same team, for the Rams. We've seen enough of these two guys. We know what these two guys can do and who they are. There's not going to be any surprises. There isn't. I think that Brian Flores, who is getting his phone rung for job interviews, I don't think he's leaving anytime soon, but I think he's gonna look to show off what he can do. I honestly think this is gonna be a huge bounce back game for the Vikings. I My only question is who our kicker will be. Who's gonna be kicking off for the Vikings? Who's gonna be?
Agreed.
That's the only question I have. That being said,
It's
like I
going to
said,
be in it's going to be in the 40s for the game in the desert. Like 39 is the overnight low. I'm just looking at the weather, but should be perfect. Very light winds.
oh yeah,
Isn't that a closable stadium?
yes, it is. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm
I
pretty
think
sure.
so. So they
I
might
haven't been to
close
the
it.
new one.
They might close it.
Yeah, I haven't been to the new one, but I know that playing out there, whether there are or are not fans, and if there are fans, it'll be mostly us.
I
There'll be a
agree.
skull chant. There'll
I
be a skull chant. There will be a
yeah,
very loud, audible skull chant.
yeah.
So
I,
not to sound like a homer, but I think this is a get right game. It may,
Hmm.
and unfortunately, it may be
Well,
our last game of the
it's a
season.
get right or go home game though.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
yeah,
It may be our final win of the season, depending on how
Hope
it
not.
shakes out, but or not. But I
Bring
think
on the
that,
Lions. I
yeah,
say, bring them on.
exactly. I'd love to see that, but I think Kevin O'Connell and I think the rest of this offense has something to prove. The defense played out of its mind, and the offense let them down. They owe them. They owe them.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
I
agree.
and as a
They really did.
yeah,
They were just asked once again to do just too much, plain and
mhm,
simple. They were gassed.
yeah. And as a betting man, I would say that if I had to bet that the Minnesota Vikings would play two bad games, two poor games consecutively, I wouldn't take that bet. Not from what I've seen. Kevin O'Connell's teams, the
And
two
hope,
games that we lost this year, back to back, we didn't play poorly.
yeah.
We didn't play poorly those
yeah,
games.
we lost by two to the we lost by two
The
to
last play
the
of the game,
Lions,
Hmm.
and
and
then the
then the Rams.
missed
Hmm.
face mask. Who
Hmm.
knows what would have happened?
Yeah, but
This
that was
team,
also a one score game.
yeah,
So
this team doesn't play poorly. We don't lay eggs. We don't go out, and when we do lose, we bounce back. And he has the extra few hours, extra day to. I think he had them in. I believe Monday. They were watching film.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
want this game. They want this.
The poetic justice is just so juicy, you know, in that we have a literally back to back likely opportunity to revenge both of our losses in consecutive weeks to the same
Exactly.
teams. That's hopefully the way it's just poetically meant to be, but we'll
Let,
see.
let's hope.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, yeah.
and with that, with our predictions being made and in the books, I'm gonna wrap this episode, and I'm gonna say again, Skol Vikings. Let's get back on
Oh,
track. Skol.
go.
Let's get back on
roll
track.
Vikings, roll.
Uh, And so for the QR code, once again, I'm Razor,
I'm Q.
I'm Adam.
Still,
and and we'll see you
still.
guys next time.
Yeah.
Looking forward.